Teeling Blackpitts, the 2022 Irish Whiskey of the Year. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all the best in 2022, my whiskey people. Mark here from WhiskyWhistle on YouTube, sharing a little whiskey awesomeness from Winnipeg, Winterpeg, the center of North America, bringing you the 2022 Irish Whiskey of the Year. And this is Teeling Blackpitts Peated Single Malt Irish Whiskey. Let me get that poured and we'll talk about this together. Now, as I record this, maybe a few days earlier, another sort of a, whiskey content provider has almost equally bestowed this malt with quite the accolades. But I think that's Whiskey Advocate. Maybe that was number 3. So this should come as no surprise, but we'll talk about how this came into my clutches, first of all, because it's not available in Canada here. And way back when, I think I might have mentioned that, but I digress. So first of all, what is this Teeling Blackpitts? Well, this is the first ever foray into peated single malt by the Teeling Whiskey Company in Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland. They did something a little bit different. First of all, like a lot of Irish whiskeys, it's triple distilled. So that's one cool thing. Some other Irish peated whiskeys are often double distilled. For example, I think Connemara is double distilled. It also should be known that this is actually a Teeling Whiskey Distillery product. On the front label, you'll notice that it says here, peated single malt Irish whiskey. And then right in the corner, right over here in red, you'll see that it says distilled by Alex Chasko. So right there, they're declaring that that was definitely distilled at their distillery, because there is some confusion about which Teelings are legacy casks from supposedly Cooley Distillery and which are from their own distillery. Well, they've only been running for about 5 years. So that gives you an idea of the age of this whiskey. Now, anyway, lots of digressions there. This is a bourbon and Sauternes cask mix, and I am very fond of Sauternes casks. I think the most famous one of all is Glenmorangie Nectar d'Or. That kind of set the industry into that idea of, Sauternes casks. And Teeling here chose that, and I think they did a really, really good job with it, obviously. Obviously, I think that. So color, first of all, let's check the color out of Teeling Blackpitts. Very pale. I believe that's uncolored. It looks like about 18 karat gold, or maybe even lighter, slightly lemony. And if you look at that closely, you can see that there's even a bit of haze at bottle strength. This is 46% ABV, and it's unchill filtered, as all Teeling distillery Teeling whiskeys are all unchill filtered. Now, a couple of caveats. So first of all, I didn't purchase this bottle myself. This was a gift from a very good friend in Chicago. Hi, Joe. Look at this. Another bottle of yours appearing here before me. And he helped me out. I'm sending him stuff. He's sending me stuff. Basically, it works out. So that's disclosure number 1. Disclosure number 2 is that I run, at least at time of recording, the internet's largest Teeling booster club, whether affiliated or unaffiliated. Mine is in fact unaffiliated, and that is called Teeling Whisky Society on Facebook and also on Instagram. You can just check that out, please. This is entirely, fully my love for this particular whiskey that makes me want to bring this up as Irish Whiskey of the Year. It's very special, it's very unique, and it's a singular, delicious product that you should run out and grab, because it's that special. So anyway, we talked about the color. Let's check the legs out. This really set the Irish whiskey industry and all the fans in a bit of a frenzy when this came out. Okay, so legs. Let's see what we have here for legs. Fairly brisk first legs. Again, it's a younger malt. It's 46% ABV, pardon me. It's unchill filtered. And then the secondary legs are quite slow to trickle down there. I'm expecting a medium to slightly fuller mouthfeel. So let's see if I'm right about that. And we'll get into the nose here. unmistakable peat right off the bat. But it is very, very accessible. The smoke is really accessible. It's very, very approachable. You can tell there's a real full peat in there. In fact, I believe the malt was peated to about 55 ppm, very much like Ardbeg. And from what I read, Alex Chasko decided that it had to be a super, super heavy peated malt in order to withstand triple distillation and still come out with some character from the peat. And I think he's done an amazing job here. So we've got some lemon zest. We've got billows of sweet wood smokes like a hickory smoke, maple smoke. There's a little bit of cherry lemon kind of lozenge in there. And a lot of vanilla sweetness. So it's nice to see that much vanilla up front in a peated malt. And I think that's what makes this really, really unique. Honey, there's lots of honey. There's some acacia honey in here. And on the nose, I can't really detect the sauternes. Sauterne, I think you don't pronounce the last S. The sauterne casking, but I think I'll notice it on the palate because that would be a very, very sweet influx of flavor into the whiskey. And there's a nice kind of light meatiness, like almost like prosciutto ham. And that lemon and that little bit of cherry, and then a big, big dollop of vanilla. So on to the palate then, and cheers. Merry Christmas. Super rich and super full flavored. The peat is much milder on the palate than it was on the nose. You can still tell it's smoked, but it's like, imagine smoked fruits or some grilled sweet potato, barbecued, wrapped in foil and thrown into a fire. And it really is quite sweet. And there is a slight desserty wine flavor coming through on the palate here as well. And that's really balancing that light smokiness and the vanilla very nicely. We've got some poached pears. And then as we get into the finish, that smoke crescendos again. And we get a little bit of, again, those sweet woods like the hickory, the maple, the cherry wood. Applewood smoked, yes. And the finish, you get this smoke. And then that kind of trails off. And then you get the fruit. And that sort of trails off. And then you get a little bit of slight tannic, delicate fruit skins is what I mean. That carries quite a while. But it's not very dry. And it's a sweeter whiskey. So it's sweet, medium dry, I would call it. Let's try another taste. And when you chew on that whiskey, when you kind of let it run around your mouth, and you open and close your teeth, and you really get it all sloshed around your palate, which you look like a ridiculous person, but that's the way that a whiskey taster will taste whiskey, is sloshing it around their mouth. So choose wisely where you do that. Don't do that in a bar where you might get roughed up outside afterwards. Okay, so anyway, so when you chew on that malt, you get these little crisp bursts of smoky, kind of little flicks of fire, little flicks of fire coming into my mouth when I do that, which is really, really neat. Yeah, it's really neat the way that just builds up. Excellent. Now I'm going to add a little bit of water, as I always do. And you should know that 46% here for this whiskey actually comes off more like 43% in terms of the fact that it's just very, very easy to drink. And I think it's that balance of sweetness. The Sautern is kind of adding some, a little bit of, like, let's say, it's like filling in the potholes where you expect it to be a rough ride. And that sweetness is just kind of filling in the potholes to make it much, much smoother, if that makes sense. I think it kind of does, kind of not, I don't know. Okay, so with water in the nose, it becomes much more floral, fruity, and I think you really see the character of the Teeling distillery, the new Teeling distillery, coming through here. And I guess also it should be mentioned that it's called Blackpitts because of a very industrial area that that exists behind the distillery, or in the vicinity of the distillery, pardon me, in Dublin City, formerly home to malting houses. So that's kind of interesting. Probably not anymore, I'd imagine. Okay, so back into this now. Much, much sweeter on the nose. I feel like I am getting that the Sautern cask coming through on the nose here. It's buttery, and it's like a vanilla buttery kind of a candy. There's even a little bit of saltiness coming through here with water added. So there's a salty, saline, like salty vanilla kind of custardy note there, which is really cool. Like salted vanilla caramels kind of thing. Not really caramel, but a vanilla flavored caramel that's slightly salty. Super creamy. This is becoming such an interesting whiskey. And to think that that's fully peated, to see how the peat kind of influences and changes the flavors is really cool. All right, the palate with water. You lose a tiny little bit of peat, but what you gain, you're gaining this, again, silky smooth, buttery, slightly salty caramel, vanilla caramel, and slightly smoky flavor as well. The smoke is still there, but it's a little bit inoculated, if that makes sense. And that vanilla is really jumping out. And I'm getting kind of a vanilla mint on the finish now, which also is very cool. And I find sometimes the mintiness can come through in a peated whiskey with age, like beyond 13, 14 years. You get this kind of a greeny, fresh mintiness with peat sometimes. And I'm kind of getting a little bit of that here, which is really cool. And that could be because of the triple distillation and a certain narrower band of flavor from the peat being sort of accentuated here. A good mouthfeel neat, but a really rich, kind of gelatin-like. It's almost like a fortified wine, the mouthfeel when you add water here. And I have to say that I think the remainder of what's in this bottle, for me, is going to be consumed both with and without water in equal amounts. Super delicious. So anyway, you know what's coming, but you got to run out and grab this. And first of all, the first thing that's happening here, you got to know It's a malt hug. Oh yes, oh yeah. And a nice kiss right on the phoenix. Mwah. Oh, beautiful stuff. All right, so the let's get on to the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Teeling Blackpitts peated single malt Irish whiskey. What is that going to be, folks? It's going to be 91 out of 100. You heard it. 91 out of 100 is the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Teeling Blackpitts. Highly recommended. I hope I can get a backup of this soon. I'm going to need it. And I think they're going to do some more things with this. I'm hoping that this is going to end up being sort of a sub brand. So you'll have your Teeling whiskeys and you'll have your Teeling Blackpitts, maybe yearly releases. I think that would be great. Cask strength, that would be mind-blowing. I really hope so. And all the best to everybody at Teeling. Great getting to know all of you lot. And also everybody at the Teeling Whisky Society. I am so happy to know you and to hang out with you. And we're going to have lots more fun in 2022. So a big cheers to the Teeling Whisky Society. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe right over here. Hit the bell, ding ding, so you're notified of future Whiskey Whistles. Check me out on Patreon. Jump in and support the channel. You'll get your name in the credits, which are coming right up. And you also get advanced viewing of future Whiskey Whistles like this. And a fancy Whiskey Whistle glass after about 3 months of patronage. Take care, folks. Bye-bye now.